Hi, everyone. It's Andrea Quagenti, and I'm here with Angela Young. We are your admins for the Self-Directed Education group on Facebook. And this is our 20th group call. Yay!
Yay.
We're happy to be here at our new time. So now it's Thursday and 4 p.m. Eastern time and 1 p.m. Pacific. Just kind of a recap. We just do this to bring awareness, to keep the conversation going about unschooling and self-directed education. So yeah, I can't believe that this is our 20th hour chatting. So that's
Wow.
been great to keep these philosophies front of mind and also just kind of like share ideas and practices. So we may get some people joining this call, which all are welcome to come and ask questions, or you can come and just listen. But usually Angela and I just kind of get into some conversations and go with the flow.
Yeah, thanks for joining. I was just muting all of my notifications because I noticed there was some little beeps in the background. But happy to be here. I wonder where to begin. I know we were chatting a little bit about just catching up. For me, I have been a little less active on social media lately, and that's because I just started working I just started like working more, you would say, at a self-directed school, a Sudbury school. And so that's been really exciting for me. And it feels really relevant to just dive in there and soak it all up and learn everything I can in that environment. Um, yeah, what about you, Andrea?
So we're still unschooling and loving it. We're still on our world schooling journey. I've got our motorhome in the background. There it is. We're at a campsite, which is kind of our well, it is our happy place now. And then I also have our car with us, which is great. So we've got the motorhome parked and set up to live in, and then we can, go back and forth to play dates and do our food shopping. So yeah, this has been our setup. And then when we do go on a long trip, we just take the motorhome. Um, and the regular car will stay at my sister's house. So that's kind of been what we're doing so far. We're still in Massachusetts, like Massachusetts, New Hampshire area, which is our home base. It's just the beginning of fall here, so it's super nice, super nice. Like it's starting to get a little bit cooler, but the weather is beautiful, and fall in this area is just very awesome. We're really close to Salem, Massachusetts, which is known for Salem witches, if you've ever heard about them.
Ooh, fun for Halloween time of year.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a very it's a fun place to be, and we don't have any definite plans yet past like a month. We're still a little up in the air for like November, but I think we'll probably stick around this area till the end of October through Halloween, and then question mark. Like we could be coming to see you in California. We could be sticking around. We could be in Texas. It's just we're to be determined.
How exciting. That's so cool. I would be stoked if you came to California. We would totally plan some things. I'm actually still, I just want to quickly mute. It looks like it's coming from a specific app on my computer. So I just want to completely mute because it's actually from my work. I'm getting little beeps from every time anyone messages. Anyhow, I don't know if that's gonna work. Um, yeah, so what's been coming up? What's been coming up in terms of either challenges or successes that have to do with your unschooling or world schooling right now?
Good question. So this is our fourth official year of unschooling, and it's just getting better and better, I'll have to say, with time and experience and just becoming more confident with the philosophy. And I just had another call yesterday that I also talked about
Oh, it
unschooling.
froze on my end. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but you are frozen for the moment.
Hi, you're frozen for
There you
me.
are.
Okay.
There you are. Wait, hold on. It's just like a little glitchy, but it's a little better. I'll give it a second.
Okay. I am in a campground. We are in the middle of the woods, but we do
There
have,
you are. I can hear you now.
yes, we're in the woods as usual. My happy place. Yeah. So you think we're good?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I would say, as in the lines of unschooling, I would say it's more successes and just feeling more confident with the overall strategy. I was saying on the call yesterday, she's like, well, what's your best practices right now for unschooling? And I would say, right, and this is what I said, and I'll say it again. Um, Play is like our number one, which that's what well, you can tell everybody more, but it's still play. So whether it's meeting up with just kids in the campground and just letting her play, free play, no structure, unless of course they make up some type of game. So play and passion, just allowing her to follow her passions, whether it's Roblox, Minecraft. My daughter has been really into art this year, and we found some local art classes. They really just landed right in our lap, which has been so nice. So that's kind of where we're at right now with our unschooling. As many, well, I shouldn't say as many. We like to keep it balanced. We're not super busy and we're not super introverted. We're kind of balanced. We're pretty active. So typically like a couple days a week, we'll be joining other kids in play type of environments, freedom type of environments. And that's been going great. It's even better for us. I think that's why we like to stick around home, or our home base, because we have so many homeschooling friends and unschooling friends. And like I was saying, this is a great time of year for park days, farm days, it endless amounts of super fun activities for homeschool children. So we're loving it. We really are.
Nice. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so,
I've noticed too. So my daughter is 8, like I have multiple children, but my 8-year-old daughter, what came to mind was a story actually, about play. I was just writing a little post for the school that I work for, but so much, I feel like even at 8, 9, these ages, so much still happens through play. I think that's what the brain is wired for. And I'm not necessarily even saying that play wears off when you get older. It's just that it starts to look different. Like play sort of looks more organized or more like what an adult may categorize as um I don't know, work or something. But I'm not sure the spirit of play is lost if you're not conditioned too much that you need to lose the spirit of play in order to survive. Um besides what's relevant for a human being to self-induce. Sometimes we self-induce seriousness. It's not necessarily a conditioned thing, it's just something that we it's relevant for us to experience, to have contrast. But anyhow, my 8-year-old daughter was playing this math game with a staff person at school where she was the questioner and she would ask the staff persons what she thought were complex math problems, like really big, this big number plus this big number divided by this big number. And it's just really cool to see because she was like, the game, it was just pure play. Like no one's trying to learn anything. It's just fun. And she's like giggling and telling jokes and getting up, sitting down, drinking water, whatever you need to do, fidgeting, like doing all the things. No one's telling her that she has to like sit down or focus. But at the same time, she's super curious about math. And you can see by the way she's throwing these questions out, she's like trying to see through just getting an answer, like how it works. So it's really interesting. Like I just think kids don't all learn the same, and we might sit down and be like, "Okay, let me teach you this strategy for this abstract concept that you don't know anything about." When she was really just going for concept altogether, it's like, "Wait a minute, what even is division? Like, what is division?" And then she'd be like, "Can I see your paper?" And she'd look at it. I'm not sure if she really understood like what she was looking at, but she's like, "Hmm, okay." And then she had a calculator and she'd check the answer. It was like so multidimensional. There were so many different things being learned in this one instance. Like one time she asked, or I think the staff person was like, give me a division question. This was before she had asked anything about division. And she was like, wait, what's division again? And so there was this like delving into like what these things even are, the possibilities of math, what is available to her if she so wants to choose to dive into it. And then that staff person, when given a pretty big division question, it was like long division, and he was doing it on paper, and he was like, wait a minute, I forgot this part. Like, what do you do after this step? Do you like subtract this here? And I'm like, let me try. And I'm like, I think I remember. And I go and I'm like, wait a minute, do you start from the left or from the right? And we look at each other and we were just laughing. We were like, dude, we don't use this. Like, this is not even like needed for regular life. This is something, and this is elementary math. Long division is something that you learn in like, I don't know, fourth grade, third grade. When are kids learning this stuff? So it's like, this is something that our society, it's like a cultural tradition, the tradition of math to like sit down and learn this stuff, when I don't know if it actually, I think that conceptualizing it, everybody at some point in this human life that we're experiencing now finds relevance of math and basic division and multiplication, addition, and stuff like that. But the fact, it's like human beings are really good at concepts. We're really good at theory. We're really good at seeing like the useful things. Like I might have to divide something when I'm trying to split up money or something, or hand out an even amount of money. And so it's this conceptual thing. Once we have the concept down, using tools like a calculator is so relevant. Like that's actually what we do, is we go straight to a calculator. And that's why our years of memorization have fallen short, because we're like, I don't remember how to do that. Yeah. Had my daughter wanted to learn how to do long division on paper, the staff person's role in that position would have been to assist her in finding out how to do it, which would be like looking up online or whatever it is, which is a learning process all on its own. That's something really valuable too. Like, hey, I'm not just going to get answers or like formulas fed to me. When I want to learn something, I'm so capable. Like I can, with the help of others or whatever, I can go and find how to put that together. But that's not what my daughter was asking for. She was not trying to learn long division on paper. She was just playing this game and thinking and having fun. And it was learning for everybody. We're like, dude, this is so like, I don't know. It was just like an aha moment. So that's my
Sweet.
story. Uh,
Awesome. Yeah. I love it, and it's great to hear it in a self-directed school, to see how that's handled. And that's pretty much the same thing I do. And I think that like those types of concepts take a little while to hone in on, because as a homeschool parent, especially as an unschooling parent, when she says I'm interested in this, it's like, well, the tendency is to be like, find all these resources and get books and just get so excited. But it's really being so in tune with what they're actually interested in learning, and keeping it fun for them. And if they're like, no, I'm actually not wanting to learn how to do long division on paper, you're like, oh, okay. I also love your example of splitting up money, and that's what I've done with my daughter. At one point, when I did have a business, or she was helping me with something, I would say, okay, well, why don't we put half of the money in the bank, and then we'll take the other half and split it between you and I. So that was a nice kind of division. Oh, is he just waking up? Yeah. Oh, you're on mute, but that's okay. So, yeah, yes, so that's exciting to hear, and it's nice to kind of hear the reinforcement that, like in a school, how it's going.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
is your son
It's the
going
same at
with you
school.
to
It's
school?
very intuitive. What's that?
Is your son going with you to school?
Yep, he comes with me.
Wow. And they're
Yeah.
obviously that's okay with the school for him to
Yeah,
put
it's okay with them. I do need to take some days off when he's not there, just for like clerical work and stuff like that. Like it's hard to sit down and get some stuff done. But otherwise, I think that it's cool that a school like this can be a reflection of regular life. I'm gonna stop my video just for a second, but a reflection of regular life. So sometimes having a baby is a positive thing, and learning the dynamics of a baby and stuff like that. Just having that sort of, I don't know, influence, I guess, on the campus is not frowned upon.
That's
It's
awesome.
yeah. But practically, certainly there are reasons why sometimes just coming myself makes sense.
Yeah, I can imagine both scenarios, but really the focus for self-directed education and unschooling is really like a real life present moment approach. So moms having younger children is very real life, right?
Yeah, totally. It was interesting. We were just on a philosophy discussion yesterday. Actually, what's really cool is and also synchronistic is within this in the short time that I've been a staff person, we've had a couple students join the school that are interested in self-awareness and the exact type of spirituality that I am also interested in. And they reached out to me and formed a book club called the Self-Awareness Book Club. And we've been diving into A Course in Miracles and Eckhart Tolle and just all sorts of stuff, Abraham Hicks. And I find that to be just so like soul pleasing. I'm like, this is totally for me. I love this. But what came up during one of our discussions was the philosophy of self-directed education in itself and how it really aligns with those values. And this was coming from students, which was really refreshing to hear. Basically, how it's based in trust. We were having a conversation about how when you hold space for what's coming up for you, I think it came from an Eckhart Tolle book we were reading from, and then the discussion followed about holding space for whatever is arising within you, triggers, negative thoughts, the mind that runs and runs. We're just holding space and we're sort of trusting that what we're experiencing is relevant for us and we don't need to resist anything. And I feel like self-directed education is based on that foundation, based on that sort of trust in life itself and trust in children. Maybe not trust in the way that some people would interpret it. Like, I'm not going to trust a child to go run by themselves on the sidewalk or something, or and the freeway, like, or to cross a street by themselves. That's not what it means. But like, trust that basically what the child is experiencing, trust with whatever emotions are coming up, whatever social dynamics they're experiencing. There's juice here, there's relevance here, there's something to always be learned. And we don't need to restrict these things. We don't have to try to control or stop or prevent a lot of things that I think the traditional school system does. Instead, we just need to immerse ourselves in what's actually going on so we can find out what it's offering us.
Yay, I love that. I want to be in your book club. Can adults join?
I know, right?
Ooh, now I'm like, anyways, yes, I'll let you enjoy your book club. But I love that you said that because there's a quote and I can look it up. I posted it. Um, but anyways, I think that it's about trust in the present moment, trusting the present moment. So exactly what you're saying, like trusting that what does come up is here for a reason. Um, so working with the present moment, working with what's happening. But there is also trust. Let's see if I can find that quote. There's also trust. Oh, let's see if I can find it. I mean, it just basically goes along with, the foundation of self-directed education is trusting children, trusting that trusting their path, trusting their gifts, trusting their tendencies, their passions. But it's from John Holt, and it's like that, a lot of adults are not able to trust because they've been taught that you can't, that they're not, children are not trustworthy. And I don't want to get too.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Okay. Let's see.
It's still breaking up a little bit. I'll give it a second.
Okay. How is it now?
Where'd you go?
Am I
It's
better?
just
Am I better?
frozen.
Record. All right, let's see. Hello, 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 hello.
You have a robot voice, but your screen is frozen.
Okay. What if
Sometimes I can hear your voice. There you are. Hold on. It's getting a little better.
can you hear me? Like, is my voice coming through okay?
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
But I couldn't a second.
So I think part of what it is kind of the concept of like the original sin, right? That people and children are born flawed and they need to be altered and changed to molded into a good person. Or if you take the self-directed education approach, is that they come in perfect, they come in whole, they come in worthy, they come in um, connected with specific passions that are there for a reason, which will guide them on their way. So it's, I guess it could maybe come back to the original concept of nature versus nurture, right? But I think in the self-directed world, we're trusting the innate nature of a child rather than in the school system. It seems that the philosophy there is that they need to be changed, into what would be a good person or a good citizen rather than that they're already perfect and whole.
Right. Totally. I agree. Yeah, and I think it's also a deep trust in what arises because we find that we make quote unquote mistakes. Everybody does, and children do too, and that's where a lot of this valuable learning is. And I think that in a traditional setting, and sometimes just as people too, like as parents, we're very conditioned with this mindset where it's like, I want to make challenges stop. I want to make the hard things go away. I want to make, the not so pretty things, I want to shove them under the rug, or I want to create circumstances where those things stop happening. We're very like addicted to circumstance, which is a whole nother thing, like circumstance being the way that we think it should be. When I think this model really honors challenges as the fruitful ground for growth. I can give an example of because that's kind of an abstract thought. But what I mean is, for example, like on campus, we had a couple instances last year, and this year, I think just one this year so far, of stealing. And this is a small community. So the stealing that's happening is, I would use the term loosely, but it's relatively innocent. What it is there's some shops on campus, like some people have set up personal little stores that sell goodies, like they have like a box of candy or a box of chips or something, and they have got a business license through the school and they're selling these things. And some of the younger children are wandering around and they're like, I'm hungry. And they go and grab a bag of chips. Yeah. Or someone had their lunch out in the cafeteria or in the kitchen. We don't have a cafeteria, in the kitchen. And part of their lunch went missing and it was a mystery. It was like, who ate my something or other? Like, where did that go? Who,
Oh.
So it's stuff like that. But anyhow, there's been a debate of whether we should put a camera up in the kitchen. And it actually brought up a bigger philosophical thing where it was like, well, let's put a camera up so that this stops happening. If we put a camera up, then no one will steal anymore. Sorry. And then it brought this thing up where it's like, wait a minute, we don't actually want to stop stealing from happening. We want to figure out why someone is stealing, what's going through their head, and what piece of the puzzle they're missing that would make them think that stealing makes sense, because we live in such a small community based in trust. It's so based in trust. Adults trusting children, children trusting adults, and us just all trusting each other is the basis of it. So stealing in this community would totally degrade it. It would like cause an issue to a point where like the community may no longer function and it's in the way that it was intended to. It's not going to match with the model. So explaining that in children's terms to the right person, to whoever keeps taking snacks, may just do the trick in terms of like, and also development. We know that like impulse control and stuff like that comes with age. But anyways, this is the process of learning that's available in moments like this, rather than just trying. I feel like the old model has a lot to do with like, let's just create circumstances where no one can get away with this. when this model is like, well, let's support people with what's actually happening. Let's be really present with what's really going on so that we can get to the bottom of it and help children understand why that just doesn't make sense.
Awesome. That's, I like that example. Yeah, I mean, it seems more like a big picture long-term solution the way you're doing it, because how many am I breaking up again?
No, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Like, how many policies and procedures can you put in place? You know, how many laws and restrictions, and like you said, cameras, and there's no end to catching thieves, right? Um, but taking a more big picture approach to say, you know, what's behind this, and understanding what's happening, seems more mature and more like a long-term solution rather than catch the thief, you know, and then what, right? Then,
Yeah.
you know, then what, you know, then, you know, determine punishments or have a talk with them specifically, or, you know, I think either way, you know, you can learn that, use that as a teachable moment. But yeah, I love the trust, and I love being creative, and you know, like you said, embracing rather than you know, connecting. Let's connect. What's the motivation? What is the child thinking? You know, let's connect with them over let's control them. You know,
Yeah.
that's a huge, obviously
And
that's huge.
it's so interesting. It's so interesting because we look at our society that we've created here, and it's like so much of the rules and restrictions and what keeps turning into just more heavily and heavily restricted, I guess, observed big brother type stuff is stemming from this core fear of challenges, I think. And I'm not sure, I am not completely sold that it's solving the problem. I think what it's doing is it's masking the problem, and then the problem seeps up in another way. So an idea that we had at the school to like resolve the issue was to, if someone brings a case of stealing to civics board, which is our like justice center, it's our, well, I forget what they call it, but it's there's a term for it in schools that's restorative justice is what's trendy right now and popping around. But anyways, we call it civics board. And if we cannot find who did the stealing, then the next civics board, everyone will be called a civics board and we'll have a discussion of impact. And that is like something that's really valuable because it's like the other people in the community, we all come together to support whoever got stolen from. And then we talk about, how much this impacts the community and how much, if this continued, might even deteriorate the community completely. And then suddenly you create a culture around stealing, you create awareness, you create like this sort of communal bond, and it could help to really prevent it, not like control and suppress, but actually transform the situation through learning. Of course, there will always be new students and there will always be new children who are learning as well. And so it was just an aha moment for me to see that like the purpose of a school or education or unschooling is not to make these things go away. It's to really embrace them so that we can help children learn.
Yay, beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that was just yesterday. It was fresh on my mind.
Neat. I wonder, maybe you could tell us, maybe we could both go through it, just for anyone that might be new or just kind of wondering. So when you are, maybe you could give us like a rundown of a typical self-directed education school day, and maybe I can tell you a little
Sure.
bit like a typical homeschooling, unschooling day.
Yeah, sure. So let me think because every day is so different. But there are a few things that stay the same, and I guess I'll start there. The things that stay the same is pretty much every day there is civics board, which handles any complaints within the community. Civics board is really cool because it's not punitive. It's not like a place where we just punish people for doing bad things. That's not the vibe at all. It instead is a place where if there are disagreements between students, if there are challenges, if there are rules or agreements broken, then we try to resolve them to the best of our abilities within civics board. And the point is to help, just like I said prior, to help students learn. So it's not really just like, let's slap a punishment. It's like, how do we best help students learn? Other students can write up other students, staff can write people up, students can write staff up. It's completely egalitarian. It's not authoritarian. And you also don't have to write anybody up if they broke a rule and you don't care. Like, that's something that happens all the time. The rules are there for your disposal. The rules are there for your upliftment and your empowerment. They are not there to just be blindly enforced by anybody. It's basically, for example, we have rules about you're not allowed to shout curse words. There's certain rules about cursing where actually students have freedom of speech. So you're allowed to use whatever words you choose. But if you happen to be somebody that doesn't really like someone shouting a curse word that many times in a minute or something like that, you can use that rule. You can say, hey, you know what? I don't really like that. Can you please stop doing that around me? And if they don't listen, you can write them up for it. But so many people don't care. And they don't care about that rule, so they don't write it up. It's just something that is used to make people who do care feel more comfortable if they want to. So that's kind of like a model there. Another thing that happens weekly is school meetings. This is once or twice a week, and this is where the decisions of the community are made. This is where we go to pass new rules if you want to pass a new rule, to amend old rules, to get rid of old rules. That happens all the time. Just get rid of these rules that we don't use anymore.
Oh.
And everybody votes. Everyone discusses these things. Everyone raises their hand if they have reservations or whatever it is, and then everyone votes. So it's completely democratic. There are more students than there are staff person. The students really run the school. They could outvote the staff in a second. Yeah, school meeting is really empowering. That's where there's a lot of learning happens in how to hold peaceful discord, because there's a lot of times there's disagreements in school meeting, but they are not to be taken personally. It's just learning to really listen to what is true for you and to honor your heart, to honor your voice, which sometimes takes time, right? You spend a lot of time sitting and listening and being nervous, maybe like, oh, I should have said something. I wanted to say something. And then you become more and more comfortable and learn how it's not a personal thing to disagree about a rule or something like that. This is something that happens to everybody. So it's really a learning thing in and of itself. Okay, that's a long-winded response. Those are the two like main structures of the school. We also do a circle weekly, and that's just strictly community building. We come together, we play a game, or we have a prompt that perhaps we talk about, a really fun prompt. Like yesterday, we did share a spooky or scary story that happened to you or that you heard of or something like that, age appropriate, of course. And everyone went around and got the talking piece and could share a cool story. Yeah, but other than that, children have so much freedom. So they're allowed to do basically whatever they want within the rules of the school. Of course, there's plenty of rules. You can't harm others or harm the school. There's a bunch of committees. There's committees that do all sorts of things, and you're welcome to join committees. I mean, we have a garden going on. We have a tech committee. A lot of times with the younger children, it's playing super creative games that go like for hours and hours and hours. It's really cool to see. But as students start to get older, it's much more organized activity. There's a lot of art, software design, programming, computer video game design, tabletop games, stuff like that. Chemistry, there's all sorts of stuff. Mythology, there's classes that are held. So anyways, that's basically a day.
Awesome. It sounds so empowering, and it seems just like such a mature setting, especially for the younger kids to come in and be like, "Oh, okay, my voice is important, and not only is it important, but I'm encouraged to speak up." And children may not even be reflecting on how they're feeling about certain things. So, wow, it sounds awesome, for sure. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
I like the conflict resolution piece, because that's just natural. So to learn from such an early age to not take it personally, it's not like me versus them. It's like, okay, let's be mature and discuss and find mutual solutions. I mean, these kids are going to take these skills into relationships and geez, offices and businesses. You can tell why a lot of unschooling and self-directed children end up entrepreneurs, because it just gives them such a full range of real life skills, real communication skills, relationship skills. Um, yeah, it's just so awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. A big takeaway, and I'll be short because I know that you also want to share about your day, but a big takeaway with civics board too is the perfectionist thing. Civics board is where we go to resolve problems, and you quickly learn that like everyone at some point in the community makes a mistake or accidentally has a conflict with some whatever it may be. Everybody finds themselves in these situations. This is normal. It's just part of being human. Whereas I think with regular schooling, everyone's always really afraid to get in trouble, right? To go to the principal's office or to have your parent called. And it's this really scary thing. When civics board, while it might be scary at first for new students, just a little bit intimidating, like a little bit uncomfortable, eventually it's something that's just normal and we're going to resolve problems. So there's this element of like losing that attachment to perfectionism that is so useful and so helpful for regular and for being yourself, just allowing yourself the freedom to be yourself and to address what comes up from there. That's how we actually really learn. Everything else is repression and hiding what's actually there. So just wanted to add that.
Yay, that's so awesome. Um, so I think, in the unschooling world, so where I would have to take it more like by a week. So, we just do a lot of real life stuff. And it just so happens right now our real life is camping. So, we're doing a lot of things for our camper, which I guess would probably be true if you were just in a regular home. So, where, like, for example, just this week, we took our camper to the shop. So, that involved, a lot of real life stuff. Like, okay, so, oh, am I frozen again?
No, 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 you're good. You're good.
Okay, because you were frozen a little bit.
Mm.
So anyways, yeah. So a lot of real life stuff. So okay, what do we need to do for the water in the vehicle? Do we need to drain the tanks? What needs to be secured down now that we're going to be bringing this home? We have to level it. So how are we going to unlevel it? So just super real life stuff. And what we do is typically a couple times a week, we're going to homeschool play dates or unschooling play dates. So we may have field trips to like museums or the beach or a playground. Um, and that is a whole lot of kids being absolutely free to do whatever they wish. And they also come up with some really detailed, intricate games where they're just running around and it's so awesome because it's exercise, it's fresh air. Usually most of our play dates are outside. And they go for hours, hours. Like you always have to make sure you bring plenty of food and snacks and water because kids just love it. They just get lost in the moment. Um, and it's also a lot where we're not in the same with the same exact people. It's not like we're in a co-op that we're meeting with the same children every week. So another big kind of social aspect is meeting new children every week and being kind and welcoming to the group. So dealing with different personalities, different ages, different likes. So I think the types of social interactions that are happening in the homeschool world are really just beneficial in the same way of communication and negotiation, deciding what games to play. There's just so much learned from play. A lot of, I think it definitely builds confidence because in order to play what they want, the children have to learn to speak up for themselves. Most of the time, the parents are not directing any of the play or interactions. I mean, if we're at a museum and we're on a tour, then of course, we're following along. But it's nice that it has that balance of, sometimes there is a process, but most of the times it's just completely free time and free play.
Nice. Yeah, I really like that. And I also used to be an unschooling family and also hang out with those. And I've noticed like it's interesting because when you are part of it, any institution, it's going to come with limitations. There's no doubt about it. You basically opt in, even with a self-directed school. It's very free. Children are allowed to do whatever they want pretty much all the time, besides the meetings that I mentioned. Um, those are the community essentials to be a part of the community. But even within that, you know what I mean? Like you are opting into certain restrictions, and there's something about like world schooling or unschooling that doesn't have that either. And I know that nothing's I guess what I'm trying to get at is that there's positive and negatives to both sides, or there's just different dynamics on both sides. But there is something that sounds like very freeing, just having like, no, not opting into any of the requirements at all, and just completely going with the flow of life. I'm not sure if everyone can still hear me, but I do know that Andrea, you are frozen. But I'm going to assume that I am not frozen.
I can hear you, Angela. Let me see. I'm going to go off camera. Maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah, I think
Can
sometimes that does help. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, I remember I have a close friend who's an unschooling and world schooling family, and they travel around in an RV. And something that seemed really like cool to me was that it's just their bedtime routine. Like they just don't even have one. Like the kids are given so much freedom with when bedtime is and stuff. And in our family, we don't have a bedtime either, but we certainly have a time where it's like, hey, mom and dad are going to bed. Dad's got to be up early. You guys we do have to be at work at this time in the morning. So there are these restrictions. And I know that's part of life. And I know that's actually that can be part of learning as well. But it's just so interesting how everyone's particular different circumstances offer beauty too. Like it's so cool to just have ultimate freedom and sleep schedule. Like if that's something that, anyhow.
Yeah, that's a
But
good
what
point. And that can obviously that's going to vary from unschooling family. Typically we are completely free on bedtime and wake time, but it's so funny that we're so routine anyways. I noticed in the summer we're going to bed around like 9 or 10, waking up around like 8ish, and now that it's getting colder, we're getting to bed like 9ish and waking up around like 7ish, and it's pretty clockwork-ish. Um, so, uh, I think and maybe, that could just be my family. I do hear a lot of, unschoolers that really enjoy staying up, like, super late. We have friends, young children, maybe 10 or, 7, 10, 12, that just enjoy staying up till 11, 12, 1 in the morning, and then sleeping till, like, 10 or 11, but, and good, whatever works for your family, but that's not us at all. We're just
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think my daughter and I, we just naturally have similar sleep patterns. And even though we can stay up till midnight or 1 any night of the week, it's just typically not our choice.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. What comes to mind when I'm saying that, it's more of like a I don't know, like a flittery thought, like a flittery feeling of like curiosity into different circumstances. But I do think that whatever our circumstances are is like there's not a bad choice. It's just different. And it's just curiosity of hearing like what options are and what resonates with you. But there's learning to be had in so many different environments. It's cool.
Yeah, and I also kind of do something similar. When I'm ready to bed, it's hey, you can do
Nope,
whatever
I
you
can't
wish.
hear you.
Uh,
And I hope everyone can't hear the buzzing in the background on mine because my husband's working in the garage. I'm gonna Andrea, we still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
but I'll give it a moment. I can hear you now. Yes.
Yay.
I'm gonna mute myself for a second, just
Okay.
in case it.
Yes. So I guess,
Andrea, are you there?
I am. Yeah.
I can't hear you again.
Oh. Hello, hello.
Let me think. Let me think of a topic before while you find some reception. Hmm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yay. Well, I mean, the reception isn't that great. If we want to just finish up for today, and of course, we can invite everyone. We're going to keep this going on Thursdays. Does that sound good?
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah, I was just in the middle of texting my husband, like, it's really loud. Can you wait 10 minutes? But never mind. If we're gonna end the call, then that sounds great. Yeah. We'll just see you next Thursday then.
Yeah, great. I'll try to, I think next week I'll have better reception. So I'll work on that. And if anything comes up, let me know. But I'm so glad to be back in action and having these calls again.
Yay. Yeah. Um, Andrea, would you mind? I have a question for you. Would you mind stopping the recording? Is that possible?
Yeah, sure.
And then, yeah. All right. If anyone's still listening, bye. Thank you. We'll
Bye.
see you
Thank you.
next week.